center for survival, which we hope we will never have to use. But since war could come, this room is ready, and so are others throughout the country. The USA, almost 3.5 million square miles. And at the other end of our scale of size, tiny dust-like particles. They too have a name, and the name is fallout, radioactive fallout. A large-scale nuclear attack on the United States could produce a patchwork pattern of fallout covering 2/3 of the nation. More than 2 million square miles in a single day. In this 2 million square miles, more than 100 million people living well beyond the destructive range of blast and heat could be subjected to dangerous or deadly amounts of radiation from fallout. Carried upward 15 miles or more by the mushroom cloud, spread laterally by shifting winds at all altitudes, fallout from a single thermonuclear blast could severely contaminate a 60-mile strip downwind from ground zero, 1,200 square miles within an hour of explosion, 4,000 square miles in 6 hours. All of us, even in small towns and on farms, live within fallout range of a likely target. Furthermore, since these targets are often only a few hundred miles apart, fallout patterns can overlap, intensifying the danger. Our efforts now to build a workable radiological defense will pay off richly by helping to deter aggression and by saving countless lives if nuclear attack should come.
We'll make it happen.
We will now be going back in time, showing you what it would have looked like to live inside this cavern after a nuclear attack on our nation.
in Indianapolis. This warning applies to all areas where receiving this broadcast is short-lived, can spread over a large area. Tune to your local emergency broadcast station to get information during your stay in the shelter. Do not leave the shelter unless absolutely necessary, as fallout can be deadly. City authorities in the area have detected several nuclear missiles headed from Louisville, Cincinnati, and Indianapolis. Follow the messages on your screen and get to a fallout shelter. This station.
All right, so who's ready to move in? I'm just kidding, guys. Like the movie said, the U.S. did establish a lot of these fallout shelters across the country to protect us from nuclear fallout. This one in particular is actually one of the largest. This one was intended to house 50,000 people on a secret list. On that secret list was mostly Fort Knox soldiers, none of their family members, prominent political figures, possibly their wives, a few rich people. Colonel Sanders was actually on the list, had to protect those blood herbs and spices. A few doctors and nurses. Now it's interesting, on this display you actually see a lot of women and children. Truth be told, there have been no children, and there have been very few women. Of the women, mostly would have been political figures, wives, a couple nurses. Not too many women at all, if you actually think about it. You pretty much would be one woman out of every 2,000 men. Sounds like a black, right, ladies? You know that's drama. Nonetheless, though, you actually wouldn't have wanted to be a woman down here at the time because, no joke, ladies, we only would have been given 700 to 900 calories a day. Now, I don't know about any of you, but I can eat that in pancakes any morning. But men wouldn't have been too much better. Men would have been given about 1,100 to 1,200 calories a day. And what you would be eating is mostly Spam and crackers, because it lasts. You would have intended to eat on that for 2 to 3 years. Yeah, you'd be sick of it by the end of the week, correct? Maybe even by the day. Who knows? Now, interesting enough, you'd actually be getting your water out of this can right here. You would have a plastic bag in it. You can see it there. That's where your water comes from. I know, this place gets better and better. And you know what they did with it after they were done? Used it as a toilet. It's where the I gotta use the can reference actually comes from. Neat, right? Yeah. Now, guys, you wouldn't actually have met here. Of the Fort Knox soldiers, they were actually intended to desert their families. They actually, if they got the orders, they had to go and tell their families, hey, I gotta go grab a gallon of milk, and never come back. Awful, right? They were actually going to be ending up meeting at the Kentucky State Fairgrounds because there's a tunnel from there all the way to here. What they were going to do is they were going to meet there, blast the tunnel closed, and walk all the way over here to know what could follow, and they could, escape the fallout. They'd come back here, they get their firewood, their cots, they get their rations, get their little Geiger counter, you even get a little stick like this to look through to look for radiation. This is the best they could come up with at the time. Scientists believed back then that you could be underground and be protected from radiation. I say used to because that's no longer the case. Scientists now know that you can be perfectly safe above ground from radiation as long as you're surrounded by a lot of concrete with no windows. That's why a lot of fallout shelters that are created now are created above ground. Now, I'm really glad that we never had the Cold War. We had the Cold War, but I'm glad we never had the nuclear attack because it would have really sucked to find out the hard way that our measures wouldn't have worked out. Because honestly, guys, if we had had that nuclear attack and the people had actually escaped the initial attack and came down here within a month, we could suffer from radiation poisoning. Within a couple months, there's no telling how bad it would have gotten or how sick these people would have been. But we know that they would have suffered much worse than the people that were in the initial attack. So yeah, really glad we never had to use this place, but I'm really glad that it's part of this tour because it's a time in history that not a lot of people know about. Even though this is no longer a fallout shelter, it still is a disaster relief shelter. The city of Louisville does use this for disaster relief for a private list. Now, I refuse to keep it private because I want anybody who's in Louisville to know that if you're in a natural disaster, such as a tornado, earthquake, flood, who knows it, come down here. This is the safest place you can be. I mean, if the city of Louisville's used it, you know you're in good hands, right? Now, that's pretty much all I got to talk about that, but I also want to let y'all know about this place. This is a high security facility, by the way. We have over 18 businesses down here, but mostly we are a security facility. We have cameras everywhere, motion sensors everywhere, you name it, you got it. It wouldn't be a surprise if you saw a tank down here. We do have military down here, not the time. We have Hershey's chocolate down here. What? Yeah, interesting, right? We have a bunch of original films stored down here, so there's Gone with the Wind and The Wizard of Oz. We have awesome like amusement park rides that have been stored down here from Kentucky Kingdom. We even have the original train for the Louisville Zoo down here. It's a lot of stuff. We even have this really nice wine that I stumbled across the other day, but I have not been able to figure out who owns it. Don't worry guys, I'm working on it. Go here, see, us tour guys, we have to really search for our knowledge here because it's all big secrets. So I'm working on it. I'm trying to find all the secrets that I can, and I'll try to tell you each time I go on my train ride. Now, does anybody actually have any questions about this area, the decor, anything at all? None? Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we're going to keep moving, but if y'all think of anything, just let me know at the next stop, all right?
Remember how I said that every cave or cavern has a problem with water? This is how we manage the water in this cavern. Coming up on your left now is one of the 3 underground ponds. Once the water in this pond gets too full, the extra water is directed to a path that takes the water to the entrance of the cavern, where there is a pump that will pump the water outside. Once outside, the water will warm up to outside temperatures in the parking lot pond before being pumped into Beargrass Creek. There are also 2 ponds of water on the other side of the cavern that serve the exact same function. We pump 50,000 gallons of water out of here each and every day. We don't worry about flooding because this cavern is above normal flood stage levels for the Ohio River. The only time this cavern flooded was during the Great Flood of 1937. Look above your head now and you will notice some more roof bolts in this area. The miners weakened the strata too much in this area, and we had to have them come back into the cavern to help us remove a layer of strata and then install some roof bolts so we wouldn't have to worry about the ceiling falling down. The ceiling surface you see above us is the actual bottom of an ocean floor that created the rock. When you separate 2 layers of strata, you do separate 2 oceans, leaving behind an impression of the bottom of the ocean floor. We are now going to be going up a small hill that will get us closer to the ceiling, so maybe you can spot some fossils from the seashells or sea creatures that used to live in this area. If you go on the zipline tour, ask the guide to show you some of the fossils that they have discovered in the ceiling. Pillar 19 to your left is now one of the oldest and largest pillars that we have in the underground. If you had to walk around it, you would exceed the safety distance to the emergency corridor to your right. In order to ensure the safety distance, we created a hole in the middle of it. We could not use dynamite to create that hole because the owners do not have mining rights, so we just had to make the hole with hammers and chisels, just like John Henry. So what would you do with a big hole in the ground? This is the same question the owners were faced with after purchasing the cavern. One idea was to fill it back up with used car and truck tires. These tires would then be chopped into little pieces and sold off to energy plants to use in place of burning coal in order to create energy. A used rubber tire will burn hotter and better than coal will burn. The Louisville Zoo upstairs was against this because if we had a fire down here with these tires, the deadly smoke would leave the cavern and go up to the top of the hill and kill all the animals. So they asked us to come up with a better idea, and we acknowledged, deciding instead to create a high-security underground business park. When trying to find businesses to come in here, we discovered that they were just not interested. After some research, the owners discovered that if they filled the cavern up to the level where we are now, that maybe some things would change. So they brought in 60 feet of inorganic recyclable material in order to fill the cavern back up to this level. And it worked. We currently have 18 businesses, and there's plenty room for more. We are also the largest inorganic recycler in the state of Kentucky. Now, a very interesting form of recycling is coming up on our left, so let's stop the Jeep and we'll talk about it.
Alright guys, here we are at our vermiculture setup, or our worm recycling. Down here at the Mega Cavern, we're very big on green business. We actually recycle all of our paper from all 18 businesses. What we do with that paper is we actually feed it to these worms. When our worms eat it, they turn it into a really great fertilizer, or as we like to call it, potting soil. Pretty neat, right? Now, our potting soil is so rich that we can actually sell it for $15 a pound. Now, if you know anything about potting soil, that's pretty pricey. I myself actually have my own vermiculture setup. I actually use